The Awakening of the Chosen. In our spiritual path, resilience is a very fascinating and highly appreciated subject. When we discuss the capacity to confront and conquer obstacles in an uncompromising manner, we are not only referring to a useful and ordinary talent, but also to an inner power that every one of us has. However, we are not always conscious of it. Before life's events challenge us, this fortitude is often underappreciated not just by people around but also by ourselves. An almost miraculous transformation starts when you show others, especially those who first don't see the brilliance inside you, your resiliency. For those who couldn't see previously, it's as if a fresh viewpoint surfaced. For some, this awareness is not only potent, but also rather awkward. After all, those who formerly thought of someone as normal or even weak come under closer inspection of their own views and assessments upon understanding their power. This helps us to consider the need of not underestimating anybody, including ourselves, as actual power usually resides where we least expect to find it. The lesson we discover here is that basic trust in our root and in what we have to achieve is, though it seems basic, facing difficulties with clarity and will requires a close relationship with our own self. It is fascinating to see how, by following this road, we may inspire and even challenge those around us, as well as help them to consider their own strengths and constraints. The narrative of conquering each of us provides a model of how hardship could be turned into fuel for personal development. Though it is unavoidable that life will provide difficulties for us, it is our attitude to those hurdles that really determines our fate. We tell the cosmos we are ready to develop when we welcome uncertainty with bravery and a peaceful heart. It's interesting to consider our actual strength as spiritual entities experiencing a human condition. Persisting is not just a talent, but also an art we improve with time. Some withdraw under great strain while others get stronger. Resilience, a quiet resolve that nourishes the soul in the worst of circumstances, sets individuals who flourish apart from those who are crushed by obstacles. This ability develops gradually over the course of life. It cannot be taught the same way we learn arithmetic or science. We have to develop this inner resistance, loving and patiently tending to it, while realizing our own strengths and prior successes. Resilience therefore becomes a trait of being present, appreciating life in all its grandeur, knowing that, whatever occurs, we are ready to meet it. Seeing how your strong presence shows itself and upsets others around you who used to undervalue the possibilities you possess is amazing. Resilience is quiet yet strong, invisible but powerful. It does not have any obvious look. Every new obstacle you conquer is a live testament of your inner force, a kind of strength that cannot be overlooked, not even among the most dubious people. This trip of conquering has a great beauty. Many have attempted to minimize or dismiss what you are able to do, but every action you take with clarity and intent just supports the fact you have always known. You can and will overcome any obstacle. This inner belief turns out to be your compass, lighting not just your road, but also that of those who are fortunate enough to cross it. Your resilience affects more than just what the sight can perceive. It is an energy that penetrates hearts and alters impressions, resonates and changes. Many times people see spiritual events as something far off and elusive. But change by a live example of resistance is a real miracle in action, a tangible expression of spiritual force irrespective of denial. All of us who are ready to see beyond appearances and dedicate ourselves to interior development have the capacity of experiencing spirituality in a concrete and pragmatic manner. Every difficulty presents a chance to turn uncertainty into knowledge, doubt into strength, and suffering into clarity. Unknowingly, you inspire people as you keep forward, guiding your fate with the consistent hands of the artist of your own life. Additionally, a road of self-acceptance and self-love is the one you bravely and tenaciously chart. You claim your right to be precisely who you are in all your complexity and beauty when each challenge is surmounted. Living a life consistent with our inner truth opens doors to a deeper knowledge of the authenticity and peace that result. Not only will you design the life you want by being true to yourself, but you also encourage others to follow suit. It is a moral circle of both group and personal development. Resilience, therefore, becomes the basis around which we construct our life, not just a trait or ability to be praised. Thus, transformation begins within and radiates outside to affect everyone who comes into contact with our area of influence. True change, therefore, is in our capacity to comprehend our own constraints and transcend, thereby attaining a fresh awareness and knowledge. This is the road of spiritual growth, one which has great benefits, even if it is not always simple. Understanding that resilience is the pillar upon which the actual development of the soul is based helps us to see obstacles from fresh angles. They cease to be obstacles and start to be stepping stones guiding us toward our best possible future. A cycle of suffering and annoyance so ends, and a new age of serenity and acceptance starts. And by means of this ongoing process of rebirth, we approach our true selves, spiritual entities endlessly developing, immensely robust, and profoundly linked with the cosmos in which we live. Overcoming becomes a real mirror, reflecting not only our capacity, but also the impressions people have of us on our road of life. Many times, the way others around us see our perseverance and strength causes pain. This attitude is almost always a reflection of others' own fears. Your obvious difficulties and successes throw off people who have sought to perceive you through a narrow prism, therefore boxing you in terms of expectations and preconceptions. How many times have hurried and mistaken decisions targeted at us? People within our grasp sometimes attempt to define who we are, therefore defining limitations only in their imaginations. But what really distinguishes us is our capacity to prove that we are, in reality, much more vast and sophisticated than any preconception or assumption, therefore transcending these obstacles set by them. One strength resisting mediocrity and conformity is resilience. Those who may not have had the same inner courage to confront their own problems sometimes try to minimize you as a means of failing self-preservation. By attempting to fix or control you, these people really expose more about their flaws than about yours. They strive to defend themselves from seeing the constraints of their own life by trying to devaluate their importance. Those who have a strong basis of self-knowledge and acceptance are not easily disturbed. This cycle might readily ensnare anybody in a spiral of uncertainty and devaluation. They realize that real worth originates from inside, and that our relentless power cannot be undermined by appearances or faltering language. When we resist the uncertainties that surround us, we send a strong and unambiguous message to the world. We are here to claim our space, independent of any potential roadblocks. What makes us very strong spiritual beings is our soul will. The amazing reality is that inner strength keeps blossoming independent of outside efforts to minimize it. It's almost like a piece of art only we are able to shape, a unique form of expression and authenticity that resists any effort at classification. Condensed treatment or judgmental stares do not scare resilience. She finds, on the other hand, fuel in these circumstances to keep shining and growing. These times of overcoming expose that we are architects of our own fate, able to create new reality depending on our steely will and our capacity to adapt, not just mere survive. This power not only questions others' impressions, but also motivates and shapes those who are really ready to go beyond appearances. Built on the strong basis of endurance, your transforming presence cannot be restricted by outside stories or self-imposed restrictions set by others. A spiritual awareness helps us to realize that our personal path is unique and incomparable. As you travel this road, becoming a living example of inner strength, it is inevitable that your influence will resonate not just inside but all around you, generating circles of transformation and empowerment impossible to ignore. When we come across others who try to define our experiences and capacities under constraints that do not fit them, we are really given a chance to show the depth of our knowledge of who we truly are. The real beauty in conquering is in our capacity to see our own value free from need for outside confirmation. It is like a flower sustaining itself from the very light radiating from the heart of our being. blossoming in the middle of hardship. This relentless strength is evidence not just of the challenges we have surmounted, but also of the metamorphosis and personal development these events have motivated within us. Every difficulty confronted confirms our capacity for adaptation and growth. This becomes a harmonic cycle wherein development and resilience coexist. When others exhibit this kind of bravery, their own fears might mirror back on them and lead to several responses ranging from appreciating confusion to protective reaction. We must therefore keep in mind that our path is unique and that we should not try to fit the expectations of others. This resilience invites everyone around to discover their own inner truth, as well as a statement of personal independence, our innermost spiritual. Nature is shown in our will to keep on and flourish in the face of difficulty. There are always some who will watch from the side of the road, some understanding and cheering, others who will keep trying to grasp the forces and impulses pushing us. This is a normal aspect of the range of human experience, not a reflection of their shortcomings. Every contact, every cautious gaze or offer of unwelcome counsel gives us an opportunity to remind ourselves of what we are and what others see of us. This great awareness not only strengthens our confidence, but also clarifies the road for those ready to follow our example. The beauty of sticking to our truth is that the flame within is unquenchable, even if efforts to reduce our value are ongoing. Every difficulty we go through feeds the brightness we emit from inside. This illumination is, in a sense, a call to others, a subtle acknowledgement that, independent of outside events, actual power comes from our natural acceptance of ourselves. Constant resilience helps us to build a place where we not only occupy the earth, but also motivate others to do the same. In the end, this harmonic dance of conquering and enlightenment turns into a beautiful monument to the great trip of spiritual and human development we are all on. Inner development is a delicate and amazing dance between outside awareness and self-discovery. Seeing someone follow this road of conquering not only boosts our own confidence, but also kindles admiration in others. Usually quiet, this process is rich in human development and resiliency. Even if it appears inconspicuous at times, his route is a beautiful monument of will and fortitude that many only start to appreciate when they ultimately come to understand the mistake of undervaluation of him. Considering the continuous efforts to downplay its effectiveness, one may see that those who first did not realize its actual power are really showing indicators of a developing awareness on their own. A fresh admiration develops when people start to see how their resistance has helped their personal growth. These inner changes encourage others to awaken and review their own impressions and assessments. Forced awareness of the progress you have gone through leads everyone into more honest, deeper thought on the obstacles you have conquered. The path, full of secretly gained successes, invites people to look at their own tenacity in enticing fashion. In a society that sometimes celebrates extravagant success, someone who develops silently, strengthening their inner self with dignity and grace, is very transforming. When this type of development shows itself, it always makes one wonder about the presumptions and prejudices that have molded others' impressions. True beauty of inner development is in this dance between perception and actuality. People around you find themselves facing the actual scope of their development as more of them come to see their preconceptions were mistaken. This procedure not only clarifies their view of you, but also of themselves. The power and will you developed within then become a source of contemplation and inspiration for others to challenge themselves about their own pathways of conquering and personal discovery. Inner change, therefore, not only affects oneself, but also resonates profoundly in the hearts of those who are ready to look past appearances and embrace the great potential that resides within each one. The real core of group development is this profound resonance your path inspires in others. Seeing someone grow in an honest manner forces us to consider our own paths and challenge the legitimacy of self-imposed restrictions. Overcoming challenges in a manner that highlights not just our untapped potential, but also motivates those around us to remove their own obstacles, a silent magic. From the time others start to value the depth of their accomplishments, A phenomena of collective awakening develops wherein every individual is compelled to consider their inner impressions and how these ideas have impacted their contacts and expectations. This cycle of individual and group awakening is a remarkable illustration of how inner transformation, when affirmed by resilience and confirmed by personal experience, could become a motivating factor for more general change. The story goes beyond his own development as more individuals around him come face to face with the enormity of his inner successes. There is a long-lasting effect that emerges organically and motivates people to not just acknowledge but also start their own paths of acceptance and discovery. The most lovely feature of this inner development is that it does not depend on words to be comprehended. It shows itself in behavior. It shows how you handle various circumstances and in the peace with which you confront upcoming challenges. All those who are sensitive to the unspoken language of real change will find this quiet electric projection captivating. In the framework of spiritual and personal development, this subtle but strong witness to your natural strength questions the established quo and redefines what conquering means. You start to be a mirror for everyone to see their own unrealized potential when this movement of inner awareness starts to grow in the hearts of others. Their resilience allows them, almost automatically, to tap their own internal sources of strength and to challenge the obstacles they once thought to be insurmountable. Through this process of metamorphosis, we not only confirm our own confidence, but also assist to create a more aware and enlightened society in which every person feels motivated to explore and realize their own utmost potential. Walking this road of inner development helps you to become a lighthouse for those looking for guidance in their own life. Every stride forward you make and every obstacle you conquer reminds us powerfully that actual strength is inside each of us. This inner power is very inspirational as well as strong. She shows how overcoming is an ongoing process of self-improvement and discovery rather than a goal. More people around you start to see that change is possible and that every one of us has capacity for progress, as more of them are touched by this roadmap. Your path of self-transformation inspires others to see beyond their current situation and welcome the prospect of a better, more true future. Your bravery in confronting your personal challenges shows that our choices define us more than our problems define us. Others are inspired to rethink their own ways of living and welcome change as a continuous when they see that you have been able to transform obstacles into launching pad for development. Self-discovery and empowerment in concert produces a vibrant and changing community. People who can change themselves naturally open the path for others to follow as well. The cycle of mutual inspiration produces a network of awakened, aware people who see the need of group assistance. This helps to build a basis of collective strength wherein every individual is appreciated not just for their own successes, but also for their capacity to help others to flourish and stay in good health. The real beauty of inner change is that it helps us to develop a closer, more sympathetic awareness of people and objects around us. Seeing the path of conquering in all its scope reminds us of the links binding us. We understand that while our experiences in life vary, we are all on a road where development and knowledge are never stopping. In this sense, we recognize everyone's path and acknowledge the bravery each individual exhibits in deciding go proceed, therefore celebrating not just our own successes. The real meaning of spirituality and inner development is your capacity to change yourself and therefore illuminate the road for others. This chapter investigates a remarkable phenomena wherein the disclosure of truth challenges people's impressions of others. Many individuals would rather perceive the world through rose-colored glasses, a means of maintaining comfort and fit for their own expectations and constraints. But there is a type of shock or pain that results when you really confront these ideas by proving your inner power. This is mostly due to their forced abandonment of their illusions and facing of the actual essence that has always been inside you. Reviewing closely held ideas about who you are and what you are capable of calls for this difficult work. Everyone around you finds a lighthouse in the perseverance you have shown throughout your trip, guiding the road to truth many others choose to overlook. Declaring this strength requires bravery, as it is more difficult to conceal than to face truth in a society full of preconceptions and expectations. Still, this insight is required and transforming. It redefines who you are to others, and maybe more crucially, it defines who you are to yourself. It is a process of severing the bonds of limited views and rising as a stronghold of will and resolve. Showing this inner strength not only shows how much you have conquered, but also motivates everyone around to consider their own delusions. This fosters a communal self-discovery atmosphere wherein individuals are gently compelled to face their own realities. The unpleasantness this may cause is really evidence of the influence your resilience has on people. It reminds us that real strength is about active, continuous change that questions prejudices and redefines the positions we occupy in each other's life, not just about passive opposition. Rising beyond others' expectations also exposes you to a fresh level of honesty and personal strength. Your struggles and triumphs become part of a greater story that excites and engages you, not just separate episodes in your life. Others cannot anymore ignore the power that is now unavoidable. This awareness alters interpersonal relations such that formerly cherished illusions give way to a real, physical truth. You have so not only changed how people see you, but also opened the path for them to challenge and rethink their own rose-colored glasses. This metamorphosis becomes a road towards a greater knowledge of human reality, where our indivisible resilience shines forth as a lighthouse for everyone to follow. Something major changes the nature of human interactions when individuals close to you start to acknowledge this unquestionable power. Many times, folks who see this metamorphosis become motivated to look at their own life with a more honest and courageous perspective. For people who have become used to the protection of their own illusions, this newly honest approach might be awkward. But seeing someone overcome obstacles and constraints by remarkable inner strength acts as a strong inducement for personal development. People that are resilient inspire curiosity and interest that causes them to doubt the self-imposed constraints in their life. Many times, people start to be more receptive to investigating their own strengths and seeing possible opportunities that could have been missed or undervalued. Seeing actual power in another person gradually removes prejudices and limits of perspective. This makes one want to know not just the road you have followed, but also how this kind of empowerment may be used on your own travels. A place for development and real learning opens forth when illusions are destroyed and discoveries show. You start to be a live example of how our capacity to go above preconceptions and discover real meaning and purpose defines human potential rather than the shortcomings or expectations of others. This realization gives people hope and inspiration, as it reminds them that actual transformation starts within and is most successful when it results in exterior good changes. Your personal discovery creates new bridges of mutual understanding and respect, in addition to breaking old ties based on false beliefs. When we let ourselves be vulnerable and real, therefore motivating others to follow suit, true communion results. And so the road started as a personal quest for truth and inner strength changes into a group movement for consciousness and self-discovery. Human connections start to bloom on much more rich ground, where acceptance of our shared inner truth becomes the standard and change continues on an endless cycle of development. Unfolds and we see a more mindful and connected society developing. People start interacting based on a deeper, more respectful knowledge of what it means to be really honest, rather than depending on biases or preconceptions. The masks meticulously created to match society norms seem to be falling apart, exposing the real beauty of being human in all our complexity. In this new dynamic, empathy and mutual respect become very vital in partnerships. People are no more reluctant to expose their weaknesses, as they know they are really sources of knowledge and power. Once seen as weakness, now we welcome as a necessary component of the human trip. These successes create a setting where support and solidarity blossom organically, and everyone may share their experiences and develop together. Within this field of acceptance and self-discovery, it is amazing to see how every person starts to see the transforming potential of their own story. Eliminating illusions helps everyone to see the natural worth of their path. Therefore, the inner strength that was earlier disregarded or underappreciated is not only acknowledged, but also cherished as evidence of the human ability for transcendence and the force of resilience. Knowing that by addressing your own depths, you inspire others to do the same, therefore generating really complete loops of good impact and development. This group development shows not only on an individual, but also on a communal, even worldwide level. Interactions start to seem more real and significant, as everyone is on a different and worthwhile trip. We enter a new age of human understanding when we embrace and celebrate our inner power, as well as that of others. The essence of this chapter invites us to consider the sometimes invisible nature of true strength. This continuous movement not only redefines the essence of interpersonal relationships, but also illuminates the road to a more conscious future, where inner truth is acknowledged as the basis for a more compassionate and linked society. Living in a world where ostentation and clear authority are sometimes valued, one tends to link peace and harmony with weakness. The truth is, however, that this flimsy view overlooks the whole richness and depth of the human experience. Others who seem calm and pleasant sometimes have an inner power that is not immediately evident to others who merely pass by. Their internal conflicts shaped their core and called for great bravery and tenacity. This unseen power is a powerful but quiet monument to a path full of obstacles overcome and lessons acquired. The scope of the inner conflicts you could have experienced cannot be adequately described with a surface knowledge. Should others close to you know your whole experience, they may be startled and motivated by the resilience you have developed over years. Your agonizing events and the emotional scars they leave behind are proof of a great will for endurance rather than of weakness. These are little markings that suggest a secret strength, that of an inner force driving your ongoing development. Not in grand exhibition, but rather in quietness and quiet struggle, true power usually resides. This concept of an unseen power questions accepted wisdom on strength and endurance and redefines what it means to be very powerful. Those who only see the surface may not be aware of the inner light guiding their every action. You have been able to transcend challenges thanks in great part to this brightness. Especially when people start to see the discrepancy between their own limiting views and the reality of their path, it is amazing how the attraction of this power shows itself to others. The change you have gone through questions these general presumptions and requires closer examination of the meaning of strength and longevity. Seeing beyond appearances helps us to appreciate the actual beauty found in people's unseen strength. This awareness values the events that mold each person's inner strength and fosters a more sympathetic and empathetic knowledge of everyone's unique life. Not only does your life, but also that of those who have the chance to see your path benefit from your perseverance. Real power is multifarious and complicated. Its presentation may be very distinctive and personal. Accepting this concept will help us to reframe what is really important in our pursuit for development and self-transformation and challenge accepted wisdom of power. This conscience provides a place where compassion and peace are perceived as manifestations of an even more amazing and wonderful underlying energy, not as shortcomings. Relationships sank into a deeper and more true degree of connection when the people around them started to see this, where the invisible energy not only shows, but also a great motivation for everyone. Its unseen strength inspires powerfully. It is a whispered call for others to use their own inner depths. People discover a rich area for opportunities for personal development and self-knowledge as they start to uncover the subtle differences underneath their outward appearances. This fosters an atmosphere in which everyone is encouraged to tell their experiences and grow from one another, therefore generating a virtuous circle of mutual support and understanding. Traditional ideas about strength and power are continuously questioned and reassessed as these real dialogues take place, therefore fostering a more inclusive and caring society. Your trip of change is not one of loneliness. Its capacity to overcome hurdles and keep on, even if the path appeared tough, is a continual recollection that real strength is not characterized by the absence of problems, but by endurance in the face of unavoidable challenges. She connects well with those who have also had their own inner challenges when her narrative displays this hidden power. For everyone who comes into contact with their experience, this fosters a powerful connection of solidarity and empathy that goes beyond daily contacts and seedlings of hope and encouragement. People start to cherish traits like empathy, resilience, and quiet bravery as they get more conscious of this inner energy that often goes unrecognized, as they realize they are fundamental components of what constitutes a really moral and strongly resilient human person. Knowing this releases us from constrictive ideas and lets us honor the variety of powers each person has in herself. Ultimately, the light that emits from its unseen strength not only lights its own path, but also shines the road of all others who search for meaning and truth, therefore enabling them to locate their own unquestionably powerful sources within themselves. We join a complex web of human experiences where actual power is shown not by what is outside, but rather by what glows from inside when we contact with this inner truth. That every personal path is different, but also links to that of others. This view fosters enjoyment of the amazing tapestry of human history, where every thread tells a tale of overcoming and discovery. The invisible power you produce is woven over time via your relationships, struggles, and successes, not just a one-sided trait. She is the quiet voice allowing development even at the worst of times. Sharing your experiments helps everyone to realize that everyone has a different internal light that may motivate and clarify the path for those who have not yet discovered theirs. Opening to vulnerability, often seen as weakness, is really a courageous statement of power. Those around this brave, honest person are motivated to face their facts and reduce their own defenses. There is a strong metamorphosis in this common area, a circle of trust and empathy where the actual relationship blossoms. Therefore, the unseen power everyone bears becomes a common beacon of hope and perseverance. Little by little, the old walls of superficial assessments make way to bridges of profound and humanized knowledge. We cordially invited to reinvent our ideas of strength and vitality as we sail this sea of self-discovery. Society starts to appreciate not just outward success, but also the inner accomplishments often kept secret from the public. By doing this, we create doors for a kind of human connectedness that respects every aspect of life. Celebrating the unseen power turns into a group movement aiming to acknowledge the worth as always present in every one of us. This ongoing path to untangle and distribute the inner power develops like an ode with every bit of us that resists difficulty, finds serenity and knowledge at its core, and in doing so, lights not just its own road but everyone's way around. These results help us to appreciate the complexity of the human being, in which our power is derived from depth and resilience, rather than just from the outward successes. This knowledge redefines and respects the various ways in which power could be shown and experienced. Ultimately, we come to see that the knowledge that the journey to discover and share our inner light is, in fact, a legacy of real power that we pass on, an eternal wire that ties our individual experiences in a great fabric of collectivity and passion together. This chapter invites us to consider the road of personal development and change closely. It's amazing how negative events, those that looked unsurpassed, became triggers for something totally different and rather strong inside of us. Often unseen to those watching, these challenges have neither the ability to define us. On the other hand, they inspire us toward the heights we do not always see reaching. True character and perseverance show themselves in this process of metamorphosis, and they translate into an interior energy seldom seen with the unaided sight, but which shines brilliantly within. Though they may not be visible everywhere, the wounds we bear are quiet monuments of our capacity to overcome. They help us to realize that we are stronger because we have faced and survived what life has thrown at us. Far from flaws, these inner markings provide fortitude and tenacity. Our civilization sometimes evaluates the surface and ties itself to appearances. Those who dare to go farther and face their inner conflicts, however, are those who transcend expectations and outside biases. Those who anticipated such challenging events to break us find great disturbance in our amazing metamorphosis. Against all the odds, we come out stronger, more resolved, and with a clarity of purpose that would have seemed impossible a few years ago. Driven by a power others may not be able to detect right away, this transformation allows us to actualize our greatest desires. Growing from difficulty helps us to live more really and in line with our actual goal. Learning to get strength from difficult events helps us to build resilience that lets us live with fresh intention and purpose. This is a power that cuts over the constraints placed on one by other people's shallow perspectives. It comes from a deep within us, driven by a light that cannot be turned off regardless of the degree of difficulty we come across. Every difficulty we conquer so becomes a brick in the construction of our own power. These events help us to develop and grow rather than define us. They open the path for a life filled in significance. The capacity to look beyond transient constraints and build a new reality based on power, bravery, and will marks the actual gift of spiritual development. It is the highest manifestation of inner power, which not only helps us, but also motivates everyone around to search and find their own reservoirs of resilience and strength. Living led by this unchangeable force not only changes your own life, but also impacts and highlights the road of others. Understanding how each antiquated difficulty not only provides a personal lesson, but also a powerful testimonial to others who have the chance to see their development in this style of change and ongoing improvement. Every scar and every difficult event creates a narrative of overcoming that really speaks to those who are also fighting their own conflicts. You show that even the worst challenges can be surmounted and start to be a beacon of inspiration and hope. And by doing this, it inspires others to search for the same strength and power inside of themselves. These personal encounters provide a fresh perspective on the actual power, which is not determined by public visibility, but rather by the capacity to keep on developing in front of challenges. This type of force lets you stand up again and over again, even in cases when the situation seems hopeless for success. What really sets you apart and helps you to live a full and meaningful life driven by passion and purpose is this capacity to go beyond trauma and find strength in the depths of your experiences. Accepting this unseen force helps you additionally get a great capacity to realize your better ambitions and objectives. This expression is neither a fantasy or a want devoid of meaning. It is a physical manifestation of its will to bring its ideas to life by means of the internal power developed by hardship. This talent frequently surprises the people around them, as it allows them to view just the surface of their path without completely appreciating the important inner labor that kept this change under progress. You illustrate what is possible when you are in line with your inner power and bigger purpose, therefore becoming not just an example of personal overcoming, but also a constructive change agent. This is not just personal. It also affects communities, motivates movements, and seeds of transformation in every life you interact with. In a society often defined by superficiality, his path serves as a potent reminder that actual power is inside each of us, only waiting to be untangled and used for the greater benefit. Growing and changing therefore becomes an ongoing dance between difficulty and satisfaction, between the inner struggle and the outward expression of our highest potentials. Though it calls bravery, this road provides benefits unique in experience, knowledge, and a feeling of direction unlike any other. Walking this road not only helps you discover a more real way to life, but also encourages others to follow in order to create a society in which tales of internal conquering and strength are more common rather than the exception. For those who want a better knowledge of the complexity of life and the unseen power that exists within all of us, this ongoing path of self-discovery and development invites us constantly. It helps us to see hardships as chances for development and motivates us to base a full life of purpose and influence on these events. This capacity for transformation ties us all together, and by telling our experiences, we support each other to shed light on fresh approaches of hope and resilience to everyone. This chapter will guide us to investigate the fascinating dichotomy between the internal truth of our own power and outside impression. The way the outside world often sees us, with hurried assessments, without truly grasping the depths of what we live and overcome, is very amazing. Many people find that the picture we present, meticulously ordered and serene, distorts the actual story of personal conquering we hold within. This contrast between what one observes and what is really may lead to a gulf, separating our real experience from others' perspective. While some individuals find it difficult to accept or even believe in the reality of our experiences, what always constant is the resilience that shapes us from the conflicts we conquer. In this area of misinterpretation, where the lack of obvious evidence might cast questions on our narratives, we have a chance to grow personally in strength. Many people are unaware that really transforming markings are those unseen but incredibly strong ones imprinted in the soul. These are the elements of a strong and resilient character. Though we might have easily given in to the difficulties life offered, we decided to utilize every one of these events as bricks to create a strong foundation. The power we possess glows more dynamically in the closeness of our being, so it does not seek for outside affirmation. It is clear how these views become meaningless when we consider the surface assessments provided by those who have not been by our side over the road. When one considers the reality seen by those who really understood the roots of their own conflicts, they are unsustainable. What really counts is our path, and the mountains we climb may be unseen, but as real as any physical construction. This road is for the soul itself that emerges more strong and enlightened than before, not for the views of others. Resilience is beautiful in that it is molded by the quality of the emotional fabric we create, rather than by outside signals. The genuineness of our own path reveals a great truth in a society too often focused on appearances. For many of us, the internal conflicts we fight, which for many will stay unseen, define us and help us to live with integrity and strength. Resilience is a very personal quality with no requirement for exhibition to have worth or significance. Knowing that its experience and development are genuine and important, despite of others' incredulity, releases something rather freeing. This is a lesson in inner strength and humility that will help us even in cases of delayed outward validation. Our actual fortitude is found in what we conquer. It is not molded to fit others, but rather in the forces and ideals we find within ourselves. Those ready to accept this vision will discover a lighthouse to lead them over the shadows. Every conquering path is different and personal, a sequence of events that test, celebrate, and change. And with every past due difficulty, we not only develop but also widen our own concept of resilience. Although challenges are unavoidable, our attitude to them will help us to turn an ordinary life event into an honoring of inner strength and knowledge acquired. Thus, a first step towards personal independence is realizing that not everyone will grasp or acknowledge our reality. Being free from others' expectations enables us to live really in line with our actual goal. The core of our inner reality of strength is an unwavering dedication to oneself, supported by every lesson acquired and conquered. The one we discover within ourselves, realizing the inherent worth of our experiences and the frontiers we have breached, is ultimately the real affirmation. Therefore, the road becomes our reward, as every action we do moves us toward a better knowledge of what it means to be really strong and lighted. Every stride on this self-discovery path makes it abundantly evident that sincerity is among the main foundations of our inner power. Although our society sometimes values superficiality and quick judgments, when we are sincere with ourselves, we find a depth of being that goes beyond appearances. This authenticity helps us to have the bravery to stick to our own experience and story, even if others cannot comprehend or accept what we live. This dedication to inner truth is what really releases us so that, independent of others' expectations or impressions, we may move freely and with intention. The beauty of this road is found in the quiet yet strong metamorphosis every one of us experiences. We start to cherish what really counts, the development and knowledge we pick up along the road when we stop looking to outside affirmation for our experiences. Every difficulty conquered enhances our character and broadens our perspective of the world and ourselves. We come to see our scars as badges of honor over time, evidence of life well lived and with bravery. This perspective helps us to welcome the future with assurance, knowing that we can overcome any challenge with elegance and will. A relationship with something more, a universal force that unifies and leads every one of us, is starting to show as we keep exploring this rich tapestry of experiences. This inner power provides tranquility and clarity when everything around us appears doubtful, and acts as the anchor keeping us strong amid storms. It is the inner resilience that helps us not only to survive, but also to thrive amid the demands of daily life. This knowledge turns into a beacon guiding individuals looking for their own truth and direction. The real gauge of our power is ultimately our knowledge of ourselves within ourselves, not what we present to others. We open space for a new way of living, free from the constraints of other viewpoints, when we realize that our particular truth is unique and priceless. This acceptance lets us live totally, entire, and in sync with our own self. By doing this, not only does us discover our own serenity, but also motivates others to start their own paths of learning and personal development. Therefore, the path of knowledge and reality leads us to a state of great gratification and pleasure with who we are and who we are becoming into. We now celebrate every stage and understand the significance of every event in our development. The power we discover within of us reflects not only our will to the countless opportunities that present when we are really committed to ourselves, but also our bravery to confront the unknown. Though the road might be lengthy and sometimes difficult, every moment of self-discovery and development enhances our life in ways we never would have thought possible. Therefore, the road goes on under the direction of unwavering resilience and a limitless zest for living life with sincerity and integrity.